Closed captioning for great tastes is presented by Manitoba Beef Producers. Proud of our practices, proud of our people, proud of our product. Manitoba Liquor Mart presents Great Tastes of Manitoba. Great Tastes is brought to you by GreatTastesMB.ca. Local farms, local foods. Great Taste is sponsored by Manitoba Agriculture.
It's Great Taste of Manitoba, where we welcome Manitoba beef producers tonight, a table for two retro romance. Now, there may or may not be a newlywed in the room here with us tonight, but it doesn't matter if you want a table for two and some retro recipes that are just really beautiful and kind of romantic. This is the place you want to be. So Adriana Findlay, of course, here from Manitoba Beef Producers, and we have Ben Rush from Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries. What are we making tonight? It's only two recipes, but they're big on style and just fun.
Yeah, they're fancy and fun, and they really, can set the mood. So we're starting off with fondue, beef fondue. So we're going to be featuring three really fantastic cuts of beef. We're gonna make a fabulous homemade beef broth. It's very flavorful. We're gonna move on to beef Wellington, so kind of the Rolls Royce of great entrees. We're gonna do that in two parts, so you'll see that when it unfolds, and it's gonna be tasty and just delicious.
Looking forward to it. I've never actually had or made beef Wellington, I don't think. So, well, what do you think?
Well, it sounds like I'm gonna have to get the Rolls Royce lined up and get Jeeves to drive me to the local liquor
got
mart.
your pockets square,
right?
so you're ready to
and
go.
Find something with elegance and finesse to go along with this.
We'll look forward to having you back.
Looking forward to coming back.
Very good. Okay, so we have classic beef fondue. We're starting with this, well, you have three beautiful cuts of beef here.
Yes, so I'll start on this side. So here, like we referenced the Rolls Royce of beefs, this is beef tenderloin. And so beef tenderloin is just such a beautiful, tender, and almost melts in your mouth kind of texture of beef. So you can even cut this with a butter knife. Like, it's just so tender. It's also known as filet mignon. So if you were to visit, a restaurant or go to your butcher shop, it might be labeled that way. Moving on, we have our second one here, which is a strip loin steak. That can also be known as the New York strip steak. So it has fine marbling throughout, so you'll be able to see the marbling, and that just gives it really great flavor and like just wonderful juiciness, and it's very tender.
Okay, what's number three?
So number three, we have the top sirloin. That is a more intermediate priced steak, so it's something that you can have a little bit more often. It's just as special and great for any occasion. It has also some really good marbling throughout, not as heavily marbled as our New York strip steak. However, it's just as tender, just as juicy, and it's another fabulous steak for fondue.
So there's lots of things we can do. We're going to make fondue tonight, and we're actually going to start with the sauce, I guess.
That's right. So we're making a broth today. So another option when cooking fondue with meats is you could do an oil. So a broth is a little bit more flavorful and would really, season our meat while we're cooking it. So I just started off with our stock pot here at medium heat. So I'm going to add some canola oil, and then I'm going to start off with some garlic and some shallots.
First peek of the market. Here we go again. I've never actually made fondue. I don't know how I grew up in the 1970s and I have never actually done this before, so thank you for this.
Yeah, no, it's really fun. I've only done it a few times myself, but it always is a lot of fun to do at home, mainly because you really get to show off different cuts of meat. So you really can experience a lot of different cuts of meat that are available at your butcher store. We also want to point out that we're using tender grilling steaks because they're very tender, and because you're essentially just kind of boiling the meat in a sense.
Yeah.
You don't want it to be, too tough. You want it to be easy to chew and eat.
I mean, I'll say that it somewhat surprises me that you could just put it in some broth and that it'll cook up. But it actually, it was just kind of boiling here. I've turned it down a little bit because it's not really supposed to be boiling, but All right.
So I'm adding some red wine. So that's just deglazing. We're gonna have our beef broth here. And then in the pot goes as well.
Oh, wow.
Smells really good.
Nice.
Once it starts cooking, it's just amazing. So we have, for some flavor, some celery as well as tomatoes.
Okay.
And
So what happens here? We kind of just cook this up a little bit.
so this actually simmers for 2 hours on low heat. So
Okay.
it's really concentrating its flavor. Just some salt and pepper. And once you're, I'm also adding a bay leaf as well for
Gotta have
flavor.
the bay leaf, yep.
So once it's simmered for about 2 hours on low heat, you're gonna wanna strain all of our vegetables. They'll soften up quite quickly, you'll notice, and you'll just wanna strain that, and then it can go straight into your fondue pot.
It's really just about extracting all of those flavors.
flavors,
okay.
exactly.
So would this be about the size of meat that you would put, like on the chunk of beef that you would put on the skewer?
So these I would actually cut in half.
Okay.
So you would want them to be about 1/2 inch in thickness, and then just about, you know, an inch wide, just so it gets put onto the skewer, you know, quite easily, and can also cook quite quickly. So another tip that I like to point out is that when you're working with these raw meats and you don't want to cut them easily, and you don't want them to kind of move around on you, is to have these kind of pulled out of the freezer.
Okay, so a little bit cold. Well,
Yeah,
cold.
so if they could be, just pop them in there for about 15 minutes before you start slicing.
And away you go.
That's an easy way to do it. yeah.
Okay, very good. Well, I'm just gonna, get one started here. We probably won't have time to see the finished result. And then you've got a couple of sauces here as well, right?
I do, and those will be available on greattastes.mb.ca. And I have here a peanut soy sauce and a wasabi sauce. So that pairs really well with steak. So.
Okay, great. Well, mine's just falling off here. I'll need you to kind of fine tune this for me in a minute. Well, if it's been forever since you've had beef Wellington, we are going to come back and show it some love right here on Great Tastes of Manitoba. Don't go away.
You're watching Great Tastes of Manitoba, brought to you in part by Manitoba Agriculture.